Sir, thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start part two, learning about the KDVA internship program itself. This session should be particularly interesting to anyone looking to apply for the KDVA internship. KDVA has two types of internships, research assistant internship and event management and support internship. So what I'm going to do is I'll ask each intern to provide their thoughts about the internship program, and then we'll take your questions from the audience at the end. Okay, Celine, we'll start with you. What are some of your thoughts about KIP?
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll just kind of start with how my time has been spent at KDVA. So while at KDVA, I kind of fluctuated between having a lot of time towards the beginning. I had a couple things on my plate, but I wasn't a student full-time and I wasn't working full-time. So I had a lot more free time on my hands. Going from that to having pretty much no free time as I was working full-time, and I had a couple other things on my plate. And the program was more than willing to accommodate all of that. So essentially the internship can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to network with high-level people, create articles that you can kind of show off and add to your portfolio, or take on projects that you're passionate about, you have all the support from Colonel Lee and Arlene. Or if you want to kind of treat the internship as like a fun side project where you can learn some things about the Alliance, that is perfectly okay as well. Because the internship has so many different ways to become involved with articles, short-term projects, long-term projects, and public speaking, it really is a great way to kind of gain a wide variety of experiences to boost your resume while also allowing you to focus on more important things like academic or professional life. Yeah, it kind of allows you to build skills in a controlled and supportive and a little bit more casual environment so they can be applied to future situations where the results are more consequential, like getting bad grades or, having a job and, messing up there. So yeah, those are all my thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, Celine. Thank you very much. Sarah.
Yeah, so for me, I worked as a research intern, and during my time at KDVA, I interviewed several defense veterans who served in South Korea, and they ranged from various generations. So some of them, they served in Korea in the 1960s, some served very recently. And the biggest lesson that I got from interviewing all these veterans and writing articles about them is how their entire life is just revolved around service, not just in the Alliance, but in their personal lives as well. So most of the veterans, or all of the veterans, they are so involved in philanthropic pursuits. They donate to their communities, not just with money, but also with mentoring students and connecting other veterans with support groups so that they don't get left out. And so with that, I learned to also think about how I can contribute outside of KDVA and continue that as a lifestyle like they did as well. So that was very memorable for me. And if anyone is interested in doing that, I highly encourage them to join KIP. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sarah. Thank you very much for your perspective. Okay, Seo.
Thank you, sir. So for me, I think what's great about this KDVA internship is flexibility, because literally you're able to work on your preferred time. And it also means you can feel less stressed about time management. But what's important to remember is that flexibility comes with responsibility. It doesn't mean you can procrastinate and leave the work until the last minute. So a small advice, if you are willing to join this internship, would be to use your time wisely when working on your assigned work, and always try to produce the best possible outcome. And at the same time, for potential Korean interns, I would say this internship is an excellent opportunity for you to engage with the Korean senior leaders. some of the Korean interns, including myself, we were lucky enough to have face-to-face meetings with Korean senior leaders from the Korea chapter of KDVA. And we were able to learn their leadership and their life lessons on based on their service in the military. As life mentors, their words really have truly inspired me to revisit my own goals and determination. So if you'd like to experience such rare opportunity, I would strongly recommend you to apply for this internship. Thank you.
Very well said, Seon. Thank you very much. Okay, Yuna.
Thank you, Corneli. During the KDVA internship, I got a few great opportunities to interview amazing people. Mr. Oh Jun, who is a former UN ambassador to South Korea, and Mr. Van Dartler, a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. Mr. Oh Jun emphasized the importance of humanitarian support, and Mr. Van Dartler shared his journey to find his father's gravesite in Korea. What I learned while I was writing the articles based on their response was unity. So people around the world have different backgrounds and different perspectives. However, I see that they are willing to embrace the difference and they are willing to help others. Mr. O said humanitarian support should be made regardless of international conflicts or violation of human rights. Also, I read multiple emails from different international organizations where many people are trying to gather the information about Mr. Van Dartler's father's gravesite. The unity I saw inspired me to deeply dive into a different perspective from ones I had. So I appreciate the KDVA giving me the opportunities to become a person who delivers their messages and positive influence to a broader society. Thank you.
Okay, Yuna, thank you. I know you did some really great work. Both Yuna and our final intern, Kyungdong, are also volunteer members of our KDVA language team. And so they did some wonderful translation work that was invaluable. So really appreciate Yuna and Kyungdong. So Kyungdong, please, your perspective.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to talk about protecting our veterans' legacies and passing down what we learned to the next generation. Through our internship program, I realized the importance of protecting our veterans' legacies and handing down their historical integrity to the future generation. Firstly, all the legacies given by our veterans, such as thousands of their heroic stories and the historical facts made by them, must be protected at all costs because they are the most important part of our history. It is also related to the reason why we learn the history at school. It is to prepare the future by realizing our past and understanding our present. In other words, if there are historical facts that accompany the huge sacrifice of many brave people, we should study and learn their spirit not to let the tragedy happen again in the future. In this sense, I really want to say there is the most famous idiomatic expression in South Korea about Korean War. If you forget Korean War, another Korean War will be coming for you. Second, what we have to pay attention is without any distortion, our legacies given by our veterans have to be passed down to the next generation. I think this will be our next mission. The history is the identity as well as the foundation of the nation. As if American people learned the value of the freedom by studying founding fathers of the United States, Korean people learn how we protect the value of freedom and develop it by studying Korean War, economic prosperity after the war, and democratization movement. But if these facts are distorted by someone or some groups, it will change our next generation's value in the opposite way, and it would cause serious crisis that we have not experienced it. Therefore, the people between ROK and U.S., including myself, who are grateful to our veterans, are also have to preserve their legacies not to be dimmed. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I tell you, each of you came up with such wonderfully different aspects of the internship. Just very proud of you. Let me go to question from our audience. This is for your the interns, whoever wants to answer, just please raise your hand. So from Alex, he says, I am a graduate student at Georgetown, focusing on U.S. foreign policy in Asia. For those of us like myself who are looking to get involved in U.S.-Korea relations, why should we choose to apply to KDVA's internship program? In other words, what lessons that you learned while at KDVA will you take with you going forward? Okay, so very good, in-depth, but broad question. So anyone want to start us off? Okay, Yuna, please.
Thank you for the questions. First, from my experience, I learned there are so many amazing people around the world who I have not met. I interviewed two of them and wrote the two articles. And KDVA has the great networks, and my supervisor Cornell Lee and Ms. Holaris are willing to connect me with those great people. I believe you can get a great valuable experience from this KDVA internship. And I strongly believe that I strongly believe that this experience could change your life. So I recommend you to apply for this internship. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. One more. Any other? Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so I heard that this person is a graduate student like myself. And I think one great thing about KDVA is you are allowed to research whatever you want, literally anything you want about the Alliance or anything that interests you. So I think it would be really great to bolster your academic studies while publishing an article, having that experience. And like Celine mentioned, I always brag about having articles published in the journals, but having that research experience also helped me, formulate research questions in school. So this was, again, helpful academically to me. So yeah.
Okay. So we got a question here that says, what does your role entail in this program, this internship program? Does anybody want to talk a little bit about what some of your roles were? I know we covered a lot of it, but anyone just want to cover that? Okay, go ahead, Kyungdong, please.
Just like Celine said, in order to contribute for the ROK-U.S. Alliance and our combat veterans, we can be all we want to be. So if you want to write an article about the current issue of the Korean Peninsula or our combat veterans, you can be the journalist by publishing your articles to our ROK-U.S. Alliance Journal. And also, you can engage with the public relations projects such as Korea 101 and Alliance 101, and can contribute to let the other people know what the Korean culture is, and also how the ROK-U.S. Alliance did for the ROK security. Thank you.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Anybody else want to jump on that? Different types of roles? Oh. Okay, hey, so we're come to the closing here. So, we really want to thank General Brooks for participating in the roundtable with our interns, and we thank our KDVA interns, Seyoung, Sarah, Kyungdong, Celine, and Yuna. Our interns, number one, they're volunteers, and it's 100% remote, except when there are events in Washington, D.C. area or in Seoul. And so they research projects, any topic to deal with the Alliance or veterans. They write articles. They have a requirement to write about 2 articles per quarter for our journal, which gets published each quarter. They conduct interviews. You just heard that they've interviewed previous foreign minister, veterans, senior Alliance leaders. They support physical events whenever pandemic conditions allow. And you know, what's so mostly important about what they do is they work on and they share their passion and love for the Alliance and our veterans. KDVA and our members are working hard to support the ROK-U.S. Alliance and our veterans. And there are several upcoming activities that are really amazing, and I don't exaggerate. KDVA is starting local chapters in the United States. We are looking for volunteers who would like to get a local chapter started in their area. KDVA is receiving applications for the first Korea Revisit program for Korea defense veterans. The South Korean government has long hosted revisit programs for Korean war veterans, but this year will be the first time for defense veterans. So anyone who served in Korea after the signing of the armistice agreement is eligible. KDVA and KUSIF Honors 2021 will be the annual gala event for KDVA, and it'll be in mid-November. And it is designed to honor KDVA members and our supporters who have made significant contributions to the Alliance and our veterans. We are accepting nominations now for honorees. And then finally, the ROK-U.S. Alliance Peace Conferences are coming up in Seoul in November and in Hawaii in December. So for all our friends in Hawaii, we'll be seeing you in December. Please consider joining KDVA. It's free and it only takes a few minutes, literally. Details for everything that I just talked about are available in kdva.vet. That's VET. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And we look forward to continuing to work together for the ROK-U.S. Alliance. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you.